Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison, and I want to welcome you to the third day of Humanity Rising. I first want to just thank you for your patience while the screen was up before I just came on. That was necessary because we have a number of organizations and platforms and Awake TV that are streaming this program live. And it takes a minute or two just to get everything activated and everything live. So we are now being disseminated globally to thousands of people. Humanity Rising, as we have said, has been an impulse that came out of the midst of the pandemic. It was only an idea about 6 weeks ago. And since then, we've activated people literally by the hundreds. We have well over 300 speakers, 250 organizations that have come together so that we can take counsel in a very profound way about how we transform the crisis of this pandemic, an unprecedented event in human history, where for the first time, virtually everyone, everywhere, has undergone the same experience, and therefore the entire world now is in the same conversation. How do we transform this into an opportunity for human renewal? That's what Humanity Rising is all about, and I just want to thank all of you for joining. These conversations and the actions we take over the next months and years will give shape to literally the fate of humanity's sojourn on this planet, because as all of us know, we're in critical times. We decided that the best way to start our proceedings, which will endure now over time, every day, from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. Central European Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time in the United States, we will be broadcasting. And for the first 10 days, we've decided to honor the voices of women, because if there's one imperative that the world needs to embrace in the post-pandemic world, it's executive leadership by women. And then we'll do that until the end of the month, till May 31st. And then for the first 7 days of June, we will listen to the voice of our youth from all over the world. And then on June 8th and 9th, we'll begin our formal proceedings, which will be looking at a strategic formation and how we can increase the effectiveness of what we do so that the movement of people from around the world that is trying to make a difference will actually be able to do so. How do we upgrade our strategic effectiveness? That will be how we formally begin, I would say, the business of Humanity Rising. But we're only on our third day. We're in an active listening mode to women around the world. And in this spirit, I want to introduce to you Sabinije von Gaffke from Sweden, who came in as one of our speakers. And then we found out that in addition to being the founder of Impactfulness Ventures, having her own radio show, she's a professional moderator on television and in conferences, and she offered very generously to host a couple of the women's circles as her contribution to the opening of Humanity Rising. So I will now turn it over to Sabinije, and welcome Sabinije, and Sabinije will moderate our session for today.
Thank you so much for those words, Jim. And I am truly both honored, excited, and blessed to be part of Humanity Rising. And I want to start off by applauding you, Jim, and all the people, speakers, and initiators who are part of this movement and incentive that is truly going to make a difference. And I will also want to thank you for your vote of confidence, of opening up the space for me to be an enabler, facilitator, and bridge builder of conversations here going forward. And it is with intention and commitment that I'm here to be part of these conversations and ripple of impact and inspired action and movement that I'm convinced that Humanity Rising will contribute to, along with all the amazing initiatives that are going on in this space around the world. And it truly is time for, those global conversations that matter, that catalyze inspired actions, and that truly make a difference in helping us navigate the direction towards the new paradigm that we're actually already in, and the new paradigm of this regenerative world and earth and unified and reintegrated humanity. And one thing that I thought about is we must know our past in order to create our future. And that was so beautifully shown in the first 2 days of Humanity Rising, which was launched on Friday and then yesterday, where such beautiful women's circle, specifically of many Indigenous women who shared their in-depth knowledge and consciousness around what is needed to be taken from the past that we really can cultivate and navigate to create the future. And I'm truly excited also about today's theme that is about rebelieving our world. And it's going to be on community, creativity, and spirituality that I find are really 3 main pillars and a core foundation of the new world and new earth and humanity that we're striving for. And I love the way it was presented. It was introduced by saying, we need to be newly enchanted with life, nature, ourselves, each other. And that's sort of just tasting that word, newly enchanted. It's such a beautiful word, and it's such a beautiful state of being. And I also think that there is a birth and rise of a new narrative that this is just touching upon as well. And in today's session and Women's Circle, we have an amazing and extraordinary group of women from all over the world, from Italy, Brazil, Zanzibar, Spain, Kenya, and the United States. And each and every one of them are making a difference in the world, whether from food to finance, justice to healthcare, spirituality to environmental issues, from conscious fashion to politics. And the convener and facilitator of this panel is an exceptional woman herself, Esperide Ananas Amnetista, who is a pioneering human development researcher, writer, and lecturer. And she's also ambassador of Damanhur, a federation of communities founded in Italy at the end of the 70s, that is a new worldwide spiritual movement offering a new model to accelerate the transformation of consciousness. And with a strong curiosity for the world and for language, this is something that took Esperide out into the world at an early age. She was born in Milan. She traveled the world in her teens. Her first job was within European Parliament in Brussels. Then the travels went to New York to complete her master's, and then to a consulting firm helping UN agencies. And she joined the Federation of Communities of Damanhur in 1992 and graduated from the School of Spiritual Healing in 1993. And has since then traveled the world, shared her wisdom and knowledge at conferences and summits around the world, and also in workshops where she's talked a lot about spiritual awakening, ritual, and conscious communities. And it is a great pleasure, as Jim said, and also a gift to have Esperide with us among these 8 amazing women in her panel to talk about community, creativity, and spirituality. So with that, I hand over the word and this sacred space to you, beautiful goddess.
Thank you, Sabine. Thank you, Jim. Wow, Sabine, you introduced me so well that, I feel like you've known me forever. And what beautiful words you used. Thank you very much for that. So today it's for me the first time that I moderate a roundtable via internet. So it's beautiful. I always love to learn new things, and I hope I can be up to the task. I have beautiful women around our virtual table, so I think it's going to be easy. But I also would like to let it flow and see, you know, how this conversation comes. I have not planned the way we're going to interact with each other, just really feeling how the conversation and the energy weaves our words together, because that I feel is the most feminine way of doing this. I would like to start by inviting everyone in a meditation so that we can really align, and then just speak a little bit why this is the title that I propose for this conversation that we're having today. So I would invite, please, everyone, all of us and everybody who's listening, watching now, to please close your eyes for a second. And letting your being expand as you take a deep breath, feeling and perceiving all around you how far your sense of touch, not the physical one, the magnetic one, can go. And how many forms of life are there with you? Other humans, animals, plants, the elements of nature maybe, art that is still alive with the creativity of whoever conceived and made it. Take a deep breath. And really continue to expand and feel how enchanting it is to be alive. How enchanting it is to have a human body that can perceive so much. So pay attention also to the smells around you, the sounds, the temperature. Feel enchanted by the beauty of what you can perceive and the miracle of perception. And then please take another deep, deep breath and relax into the place that you feel is the center of your being, wherever you place that, whether it's in your heart, outside of yourself, in your solar plexus, wherever you feel the center of your being is now. And from there, I invite you to ask yourself this question. What is the most beautiful, courageous, wild thing I can believe to transform our world? The most daring, beautiful thing I can believe to transform our world. Thank you. Now take another deep breath. And without losing this beautiful, yummy connection with your senses and that presence within you, please bring your attention closer to your physical body. closer to the screen through which we're communicating. And then please open your eyes when you're ready with a smile on your face. Smile of gratitude and enchantment. So thank you. And why this title? It's important that we find new words, that we find a new story, that we find a new narrative for the world that we want to create. And I feel it's just as important that we find a narrative that we can really believe in. Because if we believe in it, then there is the energy to make it happen. So as women, we are the ones that create life. We are the ones that, nurture everything. And if we women believe in a new story, then that's the story we're going to pass on to the new generations. And of course, also to all the men around us. So I feel it's really crucial that as women, we can not only create a new story, invent a new story, but also really believe in it. For me, the story in which I believe for the new world is the story of the three elements I put in the title. So creativity, community, and spirituality. 28 years ago, I made a drastic choice for my life, and I decided to go live communally in this federation of communities now. At the moment, at that time was just a community. Now it's a federation of communities based in Italy, where we decided to experiment every day. What would it mean to create a new world? What would it mean to really live according to spiritual principles that you can make practical? It's not utopia. We've created many, many beautiful things, and still every day it's a choice that we renew. There are always new challenges. The world is changing so fast that we are also constantly being driven to change, and sometimes is not as easy or as fast as we would like it to be. But creativity, community, and spirituality are the pillars of everything that we do in our everyday life, in the relationship we have. And maybe the most interesting proof that this combination works is given by this complex of underground temples that we built called the Temples of Humankind, and you can Google them and see them, and they are an extraordinary complex of temples built inside the mountain. We built them because we felt that these are new times in which it is important to connect to new frequencies, to new codes of awakening, and we wanted to build new sacred spaces to work as the antennas for this. So the Temples of Humankind are now an important spiritual antenna in the service of the whole planet and the awakening of humanity. We cannot travel so much now, but as soon as you can, for those of you who haven't been here, I invite you to come and visit them and be inspired and find more hope. If we have more hope, we can have also more energy in order to be able to believe that something new is possible. And on this word believe now, I would like to invite my first panelist, and I would like to invite Lorana Scarpioni, because she actually created an organization that is now the largest network of time exchange, the time bank on the planet, and it's called Believe. So Lorana, I would like you to share with us what is the wildest thing you can dream of, you can believe in, and what have you done to make that dream start to come true?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity of sharing this sacred space with you all. It's really beautiful to imagine together and connect our minds and hearts to see the word that we want to see together. And yes, the name of my company that I started 8 years ago is Believe. It's a social impact business and the world's largest community of time exchange. We have around 200,000 people trading time. And what is time exchange? Is basically you offer me 1 hour of English lessons, for example, then you get 1 hour time credit. And then you can exchange this credit for any activity in the community, like someone to fix your computer for an hour, teach you about finances, help you meditate. So it's a community where people don't need money, only time as the currency. And it's a currency based on reciprocity, because the idea is that for each hour you give, you get the credit and then can receive. And it's also community based on equality, because time is maybe one of the only things that every human being has equally in this planet. We all receive a deposit of 24 hours every day, and it's up to us what we can do with these 24 hours. So when I had Belief's idea, like, I think the word believe was very important, and that's why I chose for the company, because it's believe with two I's, so so it's BELIIVE. And basically, I feel like the wild dream that I had, and I still have right now, it's one of our headlines, that I believe in the power of people, the power of sharing, and the power of time. And what it means to believe in the power of people first is, for a long time, I think we give away our power to entities like money, like the government, like institutions maybe that didn't, or a doctor, someone that didn't necessarily had our interests in mind. And part of reclaiming the power of people is understanding that we ourselves need to believe in our own power, the power we hold as a community also, of having something that is relevant and it can be given to the world, and also the power to receive and grow together. So I feel like the power of people and believing in ourselves is part of the healing journey that we are in, because if for a long time we felt that we didn't have the capabilities or the means to change the world, and then 30 years ago, 20, with the internet, we realized, wow, we can do so much when we connect with the same purpose and do together via crowdfunding, via like doing an event online with thousands of people, sharing your message in the internet. So before, I feel like the power of people was something a little bit more privilege, more out there. And then when you have this opportunity of having technology and having community online and offline to connect, you understand that you have a lot of power, even though we still need to understand that, or heal the side of that it comes from ourselves, that it is us believing in ourselves, the first step, and that the world will reflect and believe in us. So for me, believing in the power of people and the power of sharing is this opportunity of like connecting and seeing the world as a space that can reflect all the abundance that we are, all the love that we are, the moment we really believe in ourselves and believe in the other, that is a reflection of ourselves, So my wildest dream is basically humans believing that we can do things together, independent of money, independent of necessarily an approval of a government or anything. We can do it because we have our inherited value. We all have something to give and something that we would like to receive. And that intelligence that interconnects us makes us believe that we can go further than by ourselves, And that's what I see having a time bank and this platform, is people really transforming through knowing that now they have a community where they have a space to receive and a space to give. And through that reciprocity and equality relationship, they can really, I think, imagine a new world and imagine what is possible to them beyond money. So that's what I'm learning and doing for the last years. And every day I wake up believing that there's a new opportunity for us to really connect with that mission and be part of this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorana. Beautiful and wonderful, because you're also part of the younger generation. So it's really inspiring to hear you and see you here. And as you're speaking of online communities, I would like now to invite a dear friend of mine that has been working with the idea of creating virtual communities and consciousness through these connections for a long, long time. And Anna, I'm talking to you about you, so you're invited next. And I also want to acknowledge Anna, because the title, this idea of the re-believing, really came out of a conversation that I had with Anna that helped me also, get my ideas clear about what I really would have liked for us to discuss. So Anna, to you, and what has been your experience also as you speak of your greatest dream and what you can believe? Also, what has been your experience in all these years of you being really at the forefront and a pioneer in creating conscious communities via web?
Thank you, and thank you all in Humanity Rising for bringing us to this beautiful platform and a real nest of conscious nurturing that we get to share with our communities, and especially now our global connected community. And thank you, Esperide, for this beautiful roundtable of amazing and brilliant women. So honored to be here with all of you. And around communities, whether they are online, and as we know in Damanhur, this is really about creating that ability to communicate on neutral grounds. What I find in working with, whether most of my clients have been leaders in different innovative creations and governance and positions that are typically dealt with a lot of conflict and resistance. And what we find is that through negotiating peace and harmony beyond the chaos, beyond the crisis or conflict, that we actually are able to communicate and come together with a deeper level of trust, of commitment, of purity. And when it comes down to the simplicity of it all, it's innocence. Innocence is what we are looking for in community, to be held, to be known, to be a receiver and a giver of love. And this is something that we are seeing more and more brought to the forefront of online communities that may be sharing our private information beyond our consent or our knowledge of consent, as Lahana mentioned just recently, around giving your power away to others. And that's what we are now doing. This beautiful awakening that we get to have on such a massive global level is allowing us to reflect upon the thoughts that we've had, the perceptions and the ideas of belief systems that have then shaped our lives or brought us to make certain decisions that were really outside of ourselves or somehow brought to us by the perception or belief of other people imposed into our environment or our reality. And that where we find the most healing of the mind, of the emotions, of the body, is when we find that sense of innocence, when there's no longer anything or anyone to blame or put outside of yourself in any way or try to seek to attain for yourself. When you are in that center of that knowing of your intuition, of being loved, of being accepted, everyone is looking to be accepted, to be approved of, and to be desired. And this is where we find that again is in that beautiful space of creating innocence. And the path to achieving that, to even getting past the first steps of confusion, is really through embracing the responsibility that we each have for ourselves, for each other, for our family. And that has the reciprocal rewards of our beautiful intentions, of that which we want to have and be known for in our own lives, that loving brilliance of wisdom. And now as we expand into the greater global communities and more people are coming together and really converging and uniting online and in other virtual platforms, to where now we get to experience something that has been prophesized for thousands and thousands of years, which is the coming together, the evolution of consciousness and technology to have the awakening and the reveal of the ages that we have been all preparing for many lifetimes, obviously very much so in this one, so that we can really be the custodians of creating that level, again, that bringing it back to the nest of that responsible and embraced innocence. Thank you for the question, and I look forward to seeing how more communities and more people get to share their love on that.
Thank you, Anna. And now I would like to invite Pamela to talk to us about community, really live communities, live communities, living in community from Zanzibar, and the amazing work you do there for women and the local community. And if you can tell a little bit about that, and what is your greater dream there, and how do you see that we can transform? You saying that you see a lot of change in East Africa that gives you hope. So what is your greatest dream there? What can you believe that can change, Pamela?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be a part of this discussion and to see all of these wonderful women who are already inspiring me so much, and to be part of Humanity Rising, because we definitely are. I've lived in East Africa now for 20 years, and I've been working in health for most of that. Currently in Zanzibar, I'm working with a project that is working with 2 of the government hospitals to improve services. In many places, it's difficult for people to try to reach a level where they can focus on certain things if they're not having basic needs met. And we have one of the highest maternal mortality rates still in sub-Saharan Africa. So it's really important that we focus on that. And we have been making changes over the last years. But we have many challenges within the health systems to deal with. But on the other side, it's very encouraging, because the community that exists naturally in villages in Tanzania, people really rely on each other, and there is such a sense of community. And you had asked earlier what I feel the biggest dream is, and this connects to what you were saying also, Anna, was that to be able to trust people and to be trusted and to be trustworthy. And these are things that oftentimes when living in a village, you are very much supported by people, and people trust you, and you need to trust them in order to survive, actually. And it was an amazing experience. I lived in a village for 2 years, and we didn't have electricity or running water. And at the time there were no phones. And what we needed to do in order to just get by, to survive on each other, to survive with each other, was really relying on one another and knowing that we could depend on one another. And even though that was 20 years ago, that is still very much the basis of the communities living within Tanzania now in East Africa. And in the last 20 years, we've seen a lot of development happening here, and there's a lot of change. But anytime you go back to the villages, you see this very strong commitment to community. It's very integrated. People are living very close and really depending on each other. And this is something that really gives a lot of hope to me, and is the leading thing that inspires many people, even in bigger cities now. Everybody's still connected to the villages and the sense of community that they have. So this is one really big benefit that we see here, and that I think is an inspiration for the rest of the world, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. And I would like to continue elaborate and going deeper on this theme of communities and Africa, and really having this close-knit social fabric, how important it is. So Anne, would you like to please now tell us a little bit about your experience, and adding also very strongly the element of creativity, because you are a fashion designer and you do extraordinary works of art. You make beautiful new things that make the body look like a work of art. So can you weave in also that element, please, and how important creativity is in creating community and bringing the light of the spirit in everything you do? Thanks, Anne.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor. I find that working with the hands is a thing that connects you to the soul. And I found it's a very powerful tool for everybody all over the world. It maybe relates to a happy time in your life when you learned to do a craft. And I find that even in times of huge stress, that's the one thing that grounds me and grounds many other people. So I've done many projects over the years, as you say. I've kind of specialized in making people look at their best, because that also gives confidence and makes someone able to confront situations that they may not feel comfortable in, but because they're dressed appropriately, it now opens doors for them. But currently I've been working on something I'm very passionate about, because there's an awful lot of people that have lost their jobs and lost their source of income in these times. And I realized that through handcrafting and creating beautiful things, you do two things. You create an income, but you also allow someone to make something that they find very beautiful. And that in itself is a catalyst for positivity. And I've always been someone who likes to create positive energy around me. And what is really thrilling me right now is this project I've started with washerwomen. They used to go into people's houses, wash their clothes, and of course with COVID, people don't want strangers coming in. And so these ladies just sit on the side of the road for days waiting for help, basically, because there's no work going on. So I've actually brought a few samples of what I did. I give them little squares of fabric, and then from there I test their sewing skills. And then once they've done that, and I'm satisfied, that one is maybe a bit more difficult to see, but once they've done that and I can see they know what they're doing in terms of embroidery, I'm giving them masks, the side of masks to embroider. And then from there, we make them into these face masks, which in many countries right now, governments have said they have to wear. So we're using a skill which is very low in terms of input, because you need a needle and some thread. And each woman is doing their own creativity, what comes from their reference points, their happy place. And in that process, we're bringing out this wonderful emotion of, so they're not only earning some money, but they're doing something they love. So I think my big dream is really transforming society through the connection to the past in terms of the handwork, but making things which can also sell in a modern world and which can take crafts across countries. Right now we can't travel much, but maybe we can touch and feel through products. And I also feel it's something that can break down both class stereotypes, racial stereotypes, things that we confront all over the world. But now it's like somebody's like innate beauty and skill that's now on this thing. We're all equal at that point. Some of us are more tuned in than others. Some are better at colors, some are better at crafting. But at the end of the day, we're bringing out that special thing, that beautiful thing, that positive thing. So I think that's my big dream. It's like creating this role of positive energy, which encourages people to do their best. And by doing the best, they get very excited, and that excitement is infectious. And we switch from a negative approach to things to now bringing out the best and the positive. Yeah.
Well, thank you. This is so beautiful. Excitement is definitely one of the main components for believing in a new world. And I think also for enchantment, because when we are enchanted, we do feel excitement. Another thing that you said that touched me is this idea of really, creating through our hands. And Italians, we move our hands a lot. So now I get an occasion to show them, and with a reason. At the basis of the spirituality in Damanhur is really this idea of praying with our hands, so that our prayer, our devotion, our dreams, everything we want to manifest has to also not just be inside of us, but also manifest, possibly through beauty and something that connects the community through the work of our hands. And on this, I would like to invite now Julie to talk to us, because Julie, you are also one that in your life has really bridged the idea of spirituality, beauty, creation, exploring the senses in every possible way. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and what is the craziest, wildest, most beautiful thing you can believe in now for our world. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Esperide. And I'm really touched. I'm feeling the registering of the blessing that we are all women that are like-minded, engaged around these deeply feeling connected aspects of creativity, of spirituality, and of community. And I wanted us to take just a moment and allow that to really register through the layers of the body, that Humanity Rising and our beautiful men that are also on this call, who are femininely awakened or facing, have offered this moment for women to gather with their wisdom, with their strength, their ability to lead through love, compassion, and really understanding at this moment that it's important that we embody this mother frequency, this feminine energy in all of her aspects. So we live in a society that tells us that to be a woman is to be soft, is to be pleasing, is to be the peacemaker, is to be pleasant. And we have to understand that in creation, the mother frequency is the guidance, the deep wisdom, the one who says no, the one who takes responsibility and holds that authority for what is the highest for all life, not just our human families, but our animals and our plants. And so I am at a moment in this profound time of awakening, of opportunity, of being so close to death that it provides this moment of transformation, of a deepening of this deep, deep connection to what we know is true. And so my greatest dream, and one that we've all collectively been creating in all the years and all the lifetimes that we've been leading connected to this planet, is that we actually connect so deeply with the truth of who we are, that we remember who we are on a multi-dimensional levels. So it's important to understand the histories, but not just the histories of this planet, the histories of us as multi-dimensional beings. And so my wildest dream is that we would all reclaim our memory and remember who we are as sovereign beings, as eternal life forms, and as really creators of our own universal experience. So that's a very kind of lofty, the massive macro view. And then just to share a little bit about me, I am an artist. I consider myself an artist. And I'm also a mother and have spent a lot of time in the spontaneous allowing of energy to move through me and express in my life. I've been one that never believed that I had to be trained in something to know how to interact with it or experience it. And so this has led me to many, many experiences of painting, of creating food. I've created almost 500 vegan plant-based recipes. And I now am a founder of a food company of vegan cheese that's called Shrimu. And I also create music. So I believe that this frequency that we embody is actually transmitted through sound, which is very, very transformative. I've also created a homeschooling model that I tested with my own kids over many years. So I have many things that I play in, many things that I dance in, but I feel the core mission of my work is to allow people to remember their divinity and to remember how precious we are, each one of us, in our own unique attributes, expressions, dreams. And so all of my spiritual guidance in my online community, I have a community called Water Tiger. I offer techniques, meditations, visualizations that allow the being to remember their own connection to life. So it's free from isms, free from structures or existing lineages, but a very pure, authentic, natural, spontaneous connection to the truth of who we are. And as many of you have shared already and know this, every human being is desiring this connection, this meaning, this ability to be seen and to express themselves. And so Damanhur is a beautiful model of community and of the celebration of diversity. And I am at a point now that I'm very interested in community. And so thank you, Esperide, for inviting me to participate in this group today. And I'm holding this vision that we will embody our true divine Christic essence while being alive on planet Earth. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So you have been speaking of sound and frequency and the ability to expand our memories. And these are very important themes also in Damanhur, and are also themes that are important and researched by one of the beautiful women around our panel that's really dedicated to bridging science and consciousness. So Emilia, I'm talking about you. And it's such a pleasure to see you again. I don't know, I think last time I saw you was what, 12 years ago? So thank you, Humanity Rising, for this opportunity for me to see Emilia again and have a conversation with her. So would you like, please, to answer the question, what is the most beautiful, wildest thing you can believe in? And also tell us what you're doing in your work and service in connecting science to consciousness. Thank you.
Emilia, you're muted. Could you unmute?
Emilia, you're muted.
Well, thank you. It's a wonderful gift for me to be here today with all of you and to have the opportunity to share those feelings and thoughts about what we are going to do, next steps for our surviving and our life in this wonderful planet. So I've been thinking a lot about the subject facing this time. And I would like to say that I'm actually beginning to believe in our world right now, more than I never have believed before. So I feel like always seemed to me that was kind of impossible to find a way to live in harmony with such a lack of awareness. And I always looking for what we can do about it. So, but in the face of this pause that we are all facing together, we are facing many truths, individually and collectively. And when we are facing the truth, we are learning to identify the essential and the potential that brings all the possibilities for all of us to make this world a better place for all of us. And then thinking about spirituality, creativity, and community. For me, spirituality is a kind of a mother of all sciences. And it's intelligent substance present in all manifestations of it. To recognize our origin, our original self, is for me a way to have access to all potentialities of being. So for me, this moment is like it's opening a window for us to experience and to allow our original selves to express more. And to, when we do it, we become more and more creative. Creativity is a potential of creation. We are a pivot of creation. And for me, this time is so special, so unique, unprecedented. My dream is to look not much back, to thank you for all the experience that bring us to this right moment. But my call in this moment is from the present, answering to the future. My call is from the future. And I think now we see, when we look at back, and even this present moment, we seek infected humanity. And I see that in order to fulfill in a healthy communities and to live in a full and healthy communities, we will need to choose an organizing axis. And this axis is, for me, the original concept of health. And I've been making myself a lot of questions about that. It's like, what is a person emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and, physically healthy? What does that person needs to heal? What is a healthy education? Our educational system has not educated us for a healthy and peaceful world. And we need a healing pedagogy. So what would it take to have a healthy community? What would be a health environment from now? What would be a healthy eating, feeding people? And I've been working in a project here that is called GATE, because I started working, I'm a mentor of leaders and special projects, but I've been working with a lot of young people that they have been in a very bad moments of their lives, like it's like the relationships from the school, from the society. We are having a lot of young people committing suicide, self-mutilation, it's like depressions. And I'm asking, what is happening to them? So I create this project called GATE. It's a support for education. So I feel like to deal with that, I believe, and I've been doing it, is to help them to express their, like Julie was talking, to express their original self, the self from the orange, our original being, to manifest the real purpose of their lives. And I believe that in resonance with what I heard some days back there from Gina of Brahma Kumaris, that the original spirituality is in our culture of peace and the peace of spirit, and whose source for me is in the silence. So this pause for me is a wonderful moment for us to cultivate the silence again. And I think they together, to look for the peace of spirit and the silence, I think we can restart in a very simple way. We need to reduce noise in our minds, in our emotions, in our hearts, and noise in our world. Too much noise. and also to seek peace and to radiate this peace. And through the creative intelligence of the original self, establish a new way of living in community. For this moment, I have a farm that the old woman, wonderful, beautiful being, decided to leave for me. And it's a beautiful land, and I have 5 springs and a beautiful thing. So what I'm putting together now is a project that it's going to be a campus for the practice of crafts and creativity in harmony with the universal laws. And also to open a space for the young people to bring what they brought to us. That is the next step for the future. The space for them to share their visions, to share their dreams, and to find a way to put this in a beautiful way. So I'm working in this project right now. And beside of that, I'm co-creating with the doctors and educators. I'm putting together a school for parents, because I think they also need a space to restart. And I'm very aligned with that homeschooling. I'm doing this at home too. So it's a very special, because I think we need to start and inaugurate not a new society of Homo sapiens, but Homo universalis. To inaugurate an era of the spiritual freedom. So that's what I'm doing here. And I'm opening my heart for everyone that feel this call from the soul to come together and share ideas and exchange possibilities. So thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you very much, Emilia. And here for Emilia is Brazil. So Emilia is connecting to us from Brazil today. So thank you for bringing your voice from there and giving us a little bit of an idea of what you're doing, what's happening. And I love this idea that you say that for the first time now you really can believe in our world again. So this leads me to ask Holly to come into the conversation, because Holly is an author. She's also a coach and a consultant, and she's really an expert in purpose. So Holly, in these times, what are you seeing? Are people looking more for purpose? Are they finding it more? And what is the thing that you can dream now and believe it in? This is really the wildest, most wonderful for all of us to be able to really find purpose.
Thank you, Esperide, and I'm so delighted to be here with all of you beautiful women. And I've heard from a number of you in this short period of time that many of us are focused on finding our most authentic selves. And yes, in fact, that's what I've been devoting my life to, is helping us live our most authentic, most brilliant, most genius selves in this lifetime, as we came back truly to live purposeful lives. And my wildest dream is actually, like Emilia, already here. I woke up a few weeks ago in the energy of the new world, and it was fairly profound to experience the energetic potential of what is available to us already. So I'm delighted to say that my dream is already occurring. And it's an amazing experience and blessing to be given, I feel like. And it's available to all of us. And I wanted to share I'm from Northern California, so I decided to share the Redwoods today, because really the experience of that energy is always available to us if we tune in to what's here on the planet, right? The natural essence of what Mother Earth, Mother Gaia brings to us is also available within us. So my life has been spent attempting to understand and discern what allows us to live these purposeful lives. And so you could say I'm a bridge. I'm a scientist of human development and human potential or transformation. I'm a spiritual guide, and I have spent decades attempting to also get a handle on entrepreneurialism. So how do we bring the deep spirituality and the deep essence of who we are into our lives in ways that can allow us to have the deepest expression and be of the deepest service and contribution to humanity? So my wildest dream is truly that each and every one of us who is on the planet now is able to live their most profound, most contributory, most potentiated lives, in order that each of us is our greatest contribution here and now, which is what will cause this, the ship of this planet to turn around, to shift the rudder. So my work generally is with entrepreneurs and leaders and innovators and others who have a deep, inspired knowing that they are here to live a more profound and contributory life. And I have developed methods and models and conceptual frames that I've been testing and implementing across the world. Many of my clients and organizations that I work with are global. So I'm helping both individuals and leaders and innovators and organizations to understand what their deepest, most soul-derived purpose is, and to build their own offer, their own contribution, their products, their services, and then have them spread through their organizations, so that level of essence can be liberated from inside of us into the world to make the biggest impact and have that deep inspiration then meet all those that we come in contact with. Each of us really is an inspired driver of the essence of our soul. And unless that inspiration is liberated from within us and brought forth into manifest form, we end up actually squashing the energetic potential of who we are on this planet. So the purpose of us should live in our lives and our relationships, and in every offer we make to our families and our communities. It should be liberated into the products and the services and the offers that we make in the world. And it should also be liberated into the businesses that cause our communities to thrive. I often, my book is called The Golden Thread, Where to Find Purpose in the Stages of Your Life. So I actually see this golden thread that lives through us. And the reason many of us can't actually see this thread or see our purpose and find our purpose and live it is because it looks different across the stages of our lives. So as a scientist and practitioner, I began to study how purpose looks in our various stages. And it looks very different in childhood and adolescence and adulthood and in our elder years. So it's kind of hidden across the stages or the developmental tasks that we have to accomplish. And it's also hidden behind our wounding. So each of us is really compelled to become our most potentiated selves by looking for purpose across the different stages. So my work with people and with organizations is generally to help find that golden thread and to liberate it by removing whatever distractions and habits and childhood wounding or cultural wounding is covering up the essence of who we are. And in doing so, then purpose comes alive. It becomes the most profound inspiration that you can be propelled forward with. And in doing so, then we are able to create inspired visions and inspired products that will change the planet. So each of us, if we are living our most profound golden thread, becomes a thread in the tapestry of humanity. So I actually see that as humanity, we are this tapestry, and each of our threads, each of our individual purposes, our reason for being here on the planet in this lifetime is one facet of humanity, and each of us contributes our deepest, most profound gifts. So my experience is that if we choose to live these lives of great inspiration and great meaning and depth, that we can contribute just from the origin of who we are, as many of the other women in this panel have spoken. So my job as a coach and a consultant and a mentor really is to inspire people to dig deep into who they really are and become the most profound, most potentiated, contributing version of themselves, in order that we are all living this beautiful, beautiful expression, and many expressions in a lifetime. So that if you are tired of what you're doing now, and you know there was some inspiration earlier, let's go find that newest expression of you, so that you can contribute at an even greater, more evolved expression of you. And I'm watching humanity in this very interesting time of the pandemic, and seeing that we are evolving as a species. We are beginning to understand the level of our deep contribution that's available. And in doing so, then we are going to become greater partners and co-creators with planet Earth. And that inspires me, and is my wildest dream, that each of us is able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Really inspiring. And you talked about expression, the importance of expression. And this is beautiful to allow me to introduce our beautiful friend, Rama, that really has made expression, theater, a form of planetary healing, and a way to heal wounds across cultures, and really doing extraordinary work. So Rama, I'm happy also that you are the last one of the first round of voices. So from your experience, the depth of the knowledge of the different cultures that you have in you, the expression that you've been able to give life to, what is the wildest thing, most beautiful thing you can believe in now for our new world? To you, Rama.
It is so beautiful to be here. Thank you to Humanity Rising. Thank you to everyone on this call, to Esperide for magically creating the space between us. And I'm so thrilled I could be the last of these 8 speakers, because, you know, my dream just kept, it was like this beautiful balloon that kept floating around the world with each of you, and growing and expanding. So what I feel like doing now is, if I could, is just starting with, it's a very simple Sanskrit prayer, which I'm sure many of you know, and so do feel free to sing it with me, perhaps still muted so that our friends who are hosting this call at Humanity Rising aren't overwhelmed. But it simply says, may all beings in the universe, all beings in the universe.
Rama, I'm terribly sorry to interrupt you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ah, there you are. Now we can see you. We couldn't see you. We could hear you all right, but we couldn't see you. Now we can see you. So hopefully your internet stabilizes. Maybe just take it from the very beginning, if you would be so kind. Thank you.
I will, and if please do that again, because I can move somewhere where it may be a tiny bit better, but I'll try and see if I can hold out over here. Okay, so I started by saying I'm so glad that I could be come last after hearing these beautiful voices, because I could feel that my wildest dream kept expanding and growing and moving from continent to continent, hearing each one of our beautiful fellow women in the circle. And I could see that our many participants too have been so active in expressing their dreams, and in sharing how much they vibrated with each of the dreams that you all shared. So I simply wanted first to just share in that feeling a Sanskrit shloka or mantra that simply says—
Rama, terribly sorry to interrupt you again. If you have a place where your internet will be better, that would be fantastic if you could go there.
Let us try.
So we can hear you, but we can't really see you moving.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to give it a try. Let's see. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay. Let me try here. Is that any better? I need an extra.
Let's see here for a second.
Is this any better?
But hopefully a tiny bit. Otherwise, we'll just go with your audio because we can hear you.
Oh, so you still can't see my image, is it?
I can see your images is very slow and was frozen for a while, but seems to be a bit better now. So you can try to start again, and we'll do with the audio otherwise. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. 1 minute. I'm just trying one last thing. Is there an image coming now or not yet?
Now I can see you. Yes, there you are.
Okay, very good. Okay. So maybe it's a very good thing. I won't say it for the third time. I'm simply going to recite a very simple in Sanskrit shloka, which is just a universal prayer for happiness, for well-being, and really for the fulfillment of all the wishes of all beings on earth, in the universe. And I say it in the spirit that may every single wild, beautiful dream that Esperide has invited us to express here, may they all be fulfilled. So it simply goes, and that gives me a chance to reground myself. It simply goes, Loka samastha sukhinu bhavantu. Loka samastha sukhinu bhavantu. Loka samastha sukhinu bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So with that wish that all of the dreams expressed on this call may continue to come true, may continue to fill our worlds, our hearts. I wanted to share it. I could feel that the dream that came to me as we started the call kept expanding and at the same time simplifying, because in the end of the day, I think the deepest dream I've always had remains what it is right now, which is if simply we could come home to our true humanity. It's all there, and what every single one of you said, in a sense, was capturing that, you know. It's all within us, the capacity to be fully human, to be grounded in the unity which is part of our humanity, which is embedded in our humanity with all of nature, with the beautiful redwood forests around Holly, to be fully creative when we are grounded in our humanity, because that's what enables us to express what our humanity and our spirituality is, and to create community from that. And I realized in the end that that is the only thing that I kept learning over and over throughout my life, and that brought me to the work I'm doing, which is that after 30 years of working in conflict, it was so beautiful to see, it kind of took me back first to see Pamela with your beautiful image of the, I think it was Somali women, I couldn't fully tell, in East Africa, because preparing for this call, I have a little cloth I was going to share if time allowed, a story from 21 years ago of the Somali women who brought home for me the whole meaning of this call, of the topic we have today, of community, creativity, and spirituality. Because what I've learned working in conflict on all continents is, you know, as so many of you shared, we think that spirituality is, you know, the top of the Maslow's ladder. It's the thing we come to when we finally have fulfilled our basic needs. And creativity is for people who have the luxury to do so. And whether it's Anne, whether it's Lorana, whether it's Pamela, all of us realize that actually this is what is our daily life. This is what makes us human. And what I saw is that in every community I went to, which had been shattered by crisis, by conflict, by, you know, just when you've repaired your roof, the next bomb falls in. Just when you've brought your son back from prison, the next one is arrested and he's only 12. You know, all of these situations. And what I've seen is it's the people in these crises who go within, who find their humanity. And what they really find is that, you know, that unity that is in the center, sitting over there and beckoning us. And that's in crisis that we actually find that place within us. And what I found is these people who come home to their humanity discover this unfound creativity, this human possibility within them. It's as if they grow wings, they become these great deities, and they're able, despite the lack of every resource imaginable, to transform, having transformed themselves, to transform their communities and have a ripple effect that moves out into the world. And that is what, after many, many years, I was well into I think it was in my mid-40s, about 7 years ago, that I actually realized that all of these stories have been sitting inside me, and I began to enact them, bring them to life, so that they could speak directly to people. So I didn't have to talk about them. They could talk directly and reach out. And so it was the women of Wajir in northern Kenya who were saying, hey, we'll share our story if you have time. So let's see if that comes up. So that is really my greatest dream, you know, that simply, you know, and let's come home to our humanity. And as we discover ourselves layer upon layer, we can create this world that we really dream of. And that was what was so moving, how every single one of you was echoing in your own magnificent, unique way that wish. And also what was so beautiful is how each one of you had surrounded yourself. It was incredible, you know, that we got works of human art, we got nature, we got even the oceans, you know, this beautiful textures and textiles. It's just extraordinary, you know, this beauty that we need because we've forgotten the beauty. And for me too, in a way, it feels like the dream is coming true, because what COVID did was bring us home. The second part of what I do is, over the last 12 years, my husband and I, Alexander Schiefer and myself, in our own home, which is halfway between Geneva and Lyon in France, we've been bringing people home, our students, our undergraduates, our doctoral students, groups that care about conflict and peace, artists from war zones and from Brazil, shamans coming here to create community, to recognize that in community we can find our humanity and create a new world. And we call this place Home for Humanity. And it felt like suddenly with COVID, the entire world was coming home, finding themselves and acting on a daily basis and an hourly basis with such humanity. And so it really felt to me that, yes, all of us, our dreams are coming true. We can believe in what seemed impossible and what so many of my partners in communities around the world have done with absolutely no resources in the midst of crisis. This is a huge crisis, the global crisis we had even before COVID, and COVID was just the match that helped us say, now is the time. So I'll pause over there, but very, very happy, Esperide, for this beautiful circle of sharing.
Rama, thank you so much. Your voice is so beautiful, so moving. And also the things you say are really profound and very touching, because really we are lucky, most of us, to be sitting, you know, in places where we do not have to worry about a bomb when we go out. And so I feel for this reason, our responsibility is even greater. And we really should remember always in everything we do that we're all interconnected. And maybe, you know, it's a blessing that we're not fully aware of the consequences of every action, because maybe that would paralyze us to know how difficult it is to walk lightly on this planet and not create damage to others. And on the other hand, remembering this, hearing your words and hearing also the passion, the beauty and the joy that comes and shines through your being, I think it's a wonderful reminder of always remaining enchanted. And that's also part of how we can change also the most difficult and tragic of situations. So really, thank you very much. It was a beautiful way of really closing our first round of conversation here. We do not have a lot of time, so I would like to ask Sabinije again, if you want to please come online and tell us, are there questions that we can answer, or is there time for another short round? Sabinije, please.
There are some questions, but am I there yet? There are some questions, and I see that some of you, Anna, has answered some of them. So if you would like to continue the conversations, please do. And then we can have maybe a few minutes at the end to readdress the questions that came in, or if any new ones have come in. Does that resonate?
Yes. Yes, thank you very much. So I would just like to ask each one of you, and maybe we just do it again in the order we had, so it's easy before. So if you want to add something practical for these beautiful people that are listening to us. You know, some of you already said, I wrote a book, Lorana spoke about organization, but maybe just a little more about how you can inspire, support, and be there for people that might want to reach you. So a feminine way to say, I'm here, what it is that you would like the people listening to us to know about you and how you can support. So Lorana, would you like to be the first one?
It's a good question. I think on one side, thank you so much for the people on the chat that ask about belief. I share the platform and the community there. And I feel like the way that I'm giving back or that I'm supporting right now, it's really, we are opening these communities, I believe. So any type of organization that wants to create an open community for the members, or private community for the members to do time banking. That's something that we are doing for free now for any organization that has an impact or it's aligned with the values. So you can start your own group, time banking group, to connect, you know, and use the platform. So anyone who is interested in like creating a private time bank or space, we are offering that in the times of COVID, because we saw so much growth, like more than 140% growth in the usage of the platform after COVID, because of people having less money, more time, more connection with community. So this is one clear give back that I can give. And the other side is just like saying that even though maybe we are not connected to like talk to each other every day, I feel like right now what I'm trying to do is really think as how can we solve or be together in this process of like ascension, connection with Earth, rebirth of planet Earth, reconnection with everything that is happening, because it is a new opportunity. So thinking about community, I think the advice or the give back that I give is just understanding that there's nothing wrong with asking for help, you know, from a friend, from someone close to you, for someone online. Like, we are in this together, but we need to open ourselves to receive the what people can give to us, and knowing that we are valuable, that we are loved, that we are here for a reason, that even though we are struggling, we have the right or the opportunity to ask for help and to reach out to others, and to know that we are not alone in that, because helping someone is also a blessing. And if we ask for help, we are giving the chance of someone to help. But in society, we heard so much that you need to be alone, you need to do things by yourself, don't rely on anyone, because that's independence. It's what you're gonna get you there, you know. And what I believe, and I'm learning more and also challenging myself many times, is just like, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay, even it can be on Beliefs platform and go and have a time exchange, but it can be on your WhatsApp, a friend on Instagram, someone that you are not connected so often, but you could say, hey, I just need some words of positivity or something, a highlight. So my second give back is just that, like a challenge to yourself. Where are you resisting? Opening yourself to receive help, to receive love, because sometimes we are very good at giving, but we forget that part of the giving, the balance between giving and receiving, it is the reciprocity of, like, I can give love, but I'm allowed, I'm worthy of receiving it too. And if the world is a little bit chaotic and no one did, let me take that. Let me take that as I take my own breath. Like I have the right of breathing, and I have the right to love and to receive. So I think that's the two give backs. And yeah, just reach out to me on the email if you want to start a time exchange community too. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorana. Really appreciate your practical offering. And also I love that you reminded us of the importance of reciprocity. Very, very important. Thank you. Anna.
Yes. So, wow, so much to share, so much love, so many decades of what came through as knowledge learned into wisdom, which is our earned experiences, our embodied state. And with that, I have so much to offer and share and love and support everyone with. One of the many ways that we can do that, as Esperide mentioned, is through the online community platforms. A lot of the platforms that are now really decentralized, that are allowing us to really feel and be and have our data sovereignty back again. So that's extremely important, which is one of the colleagues and companies that we work with at the Sacred Intelligence Agency, where we also offer trainings and a lot of courses and free community teachings for really remembering that by healing ourselves personally, we get to heal the world. By being that living example of conscious mastery of our own personal human experience, that we get to be the living example of how to inspire others, the true leadership within that. And by applying the ancient wisdom, we get to create new innovations and solutions for today's challenges. And this is where, again, we are coming together as women, as men. One of the questions that I loved and I saw in the chat room was, where do men have a place in the Women's Council in a woman-led world? And it comes back to some of the sacred symbology, which many of us may know as the Ankh, in the symbology of the Ankh and many other sacred forms of geometry. We have the strength of the masculine pillar, and then the womb or the chalice of the feminine nest, and the side, the wings, to keep us in balance. And this is the purity and the beauty, again, going back to the essence of creating innocence for ourselves, innocence for others. It really helps to bring that neutral sensation of acceptance, of approval, of, as Lohana said, in receiving and giving, and that balance that we're really learning to come into in this beautiful decade, this prophetic time that we're in. And one of the beautiful awarenesses around the virus is that the word corona actually means crown in many different forms of science, of architecture, of even of our solar system. The crown, the corona, is a chakra awakening, a realization that this is about our beliefs, about reinventing our beliefs, about expanding the perceptions that perhaps we haven't quite taken the time to accept or even consider of others' reflections. And this is a beautiful time for all of us to really take that clear look in the mirror at ourselves, at our actions, as the karmic reciprocation that we've experienced in our own lives. and really see where we can embrace that true mastery within ourselves to be in that neutrality of healing, in that innocence and sweetness where everyone gets to thrive. And this is what I feel is happening on a much larger scale than just a microorganism that has brought it to our awareness. This is a beautiful awakening of community, of how we do business, of how finances are managed, about the prosperity redistribution that's happening around the world, thanks to all of these conscious companies, like many of the women who are on our panel are founders of, are leaders of. And many of us are also supported by our friends and families and colleagues that are men. And this is what we're bringing back into the unity consciousness that I feel we're all on the same mission for, in the short and the long term. And that's really where we get to be in our deepest essence of gratitude for each other and also for ourselves. I find that many people forget to give gratitude to themselves, and we are now in a place where that inner voice and that conversation really is being reflected back onto us, and to realize that that is our starting point. That is where we get to being in love with our life, with our essence, with our representation and archetypes in the world. Whether you're a man or a woman, in the higher aspect of energy, we are both and all at the same time. So we get to be here at this time to really represent ourselves in the purest way, in service for the highest good. So thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Really beautiful. Thank you. Pamela, what would you like to tell us? And I would like to say again, Pamela is connecting with us from Zanzibar, because I saw in some of the questions maybe wasn't clear. So Pamela is today with us from that beautiful island of Zanzibar.
Yeah, thanks again. If we're thinking about ways that can be helpful, I think it's really important, and something that I've learned here is that we need to stay very close to joy and laughter. And something culturally with the Swahili culture that I've learned is that laughter and joy is very much a part of life, even when things are very, very difficult and really hard. And I think that helps people get through a lot of things all over the world, but that's one that I find extremely helpful. So I think it's important to mix spirituality, creativity, and community. And when they intertwine, I often find myself, it's in laughter with friends. I think spirituality is at the base of everything, every breath, every connection, every decision. Creativity is expressed in many ways, through emotion. It's the ingenuity that I can see that overcomes challenges with limited resources. It's finding new solutions and trying them without fear of defeat or getting it wrong. Or even better, if you screw up something and you have to take a chance then to tweak it, to improve it the next time. And then I feel very inspired by improving things for both myself and together with others. And I think community is part of that as well. Community is the space that we find support. We can check the relativity of ourselves to the greater whole. If it's done with trust and love, it's done in a way that I know others have the best interest for me, and so I'm likely to also listen and then act according to what I feel on the inside. What I learned living in the villages in Tanzania was that I could have not have survived at that time without my community around me, and that I learned a lot more than I could offer. And that it was through the experience of the others, the elders working in groups, that we could implement longer lasting changes that benefited the whole. If the community is healthy, and if they are ready and open to listen to ideas of others, of the youth, without being scared, and implementing any changes with passion and experience, which is often a difficult balance, but if you have trust and faith in each other, it's possible. So I think the connection of those things, spirituality, creativity, and community, will help humanity rise, and I think are very important at this time. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Love this idea of laughter. Also love you brought it again, the elders. Somebody else spoke about them before, and also community. So when we speak of community, of course, we're also speaking of men and women. And there was a question about different genders. Of course, this is really, I think, the time of the new human being, and we're not going to be defined by our gender. And inside each one of us, it doesn't matter what kind of, gender identification we have a masculine and feminine principle. So that is what is important, is really this bridge. And so first of all, this community is also inside of us, really embracing all the different parts that we have. The more masculine, the more feminine, no matter how they express in the physical body. This is very important, I think. So thank you for that question that was asked on the messenger, because when we think of community, let's think of ourselves, each one of us also as a community of many voices, many talents, many inspirations, many dreams, and hopefully all of them finding one common purpose. So now I would like to pass this on to Anne. And again, what is your gift that you want to give now, Anne, to everyone listening and watching us?
I think I love this community, spirituality, creativity. The word that's missing for me is still beauty. I think this thing of making beautiful things in an ugly world, making beautiful things in the face of violence, and transforming imagery that we've seen of like destruction into something magnificent created by the hands. These are things that, even as Emilia was talking about youth and mental health issues, I've worked a lot with young people, both men and women, and the joy that fashion brings to them, whether it's through modeling or whether it's making the clothes or whether it's painting the backdrops in the photo shoots or for the runway, all of these things are magnificent. And now in these times, I've been using WhatsApp to train people in slums also in Uganda on just again, I go back to the mask, the very simple creation of something beautiful, like how beautiful can you make it? And I think I don't really have much more to say about that. I just know that that is a power in itself. When you feel your best, when you look your best, you feel your best. When you make someone else look their best, you feel your best. And the beauty can also even be in how you grow your plants in the garden. And I think these manual things bring us back to our core. And I would love to see people just supporting those little initiatives in whichever way in their own community. It's around us wherever we look, if we choose to look. So I think the world had become very sterile, very mechanical, and in that masculine feminine discussion, maybe the femininity had been a bit lost. And I think that's the power that we all bring. I think that's what we need to center on now and bring that how do I say, a more wholesome, a more holistic way of living, in touch with nature, in touch with fibers, in touch with textures, and in touch with beauty. And that beauty brings us the joy, brings us the laughter, brings us the friends. I want to live in a more harmonious world. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anne. Beauty is very dear to me as an archetype. It's been something I've really explored a lot in many different ways since when I was very young, and I read for the first time Keats when he writes truth is beauty and beauty is truth. And that really touched me. And I really also love fashion and what you were bringing, because I think that this is a way to make ourselves more beautiful, and beauty then becomes a way that we are really truly a gift to others. So I come from Italy, and this is a culture that is deeply steeped in beauty, and our understanding is not so much that beauty is something you do for yourself. The understanding is that beauty is something you do for others. Sometimes now we lost maybe this value in our society, especially in the West. But when we go back to that, then there is a power of transformation in beauty that is really pervasive, and it's really one of the most elevated way, I think, to give others our essence. So on this note is Julie's now, and I know that Julie, beauty for you is also very important. So we couldn't have a better introduction for you now for your closing comments.
Thank you, Esperide. Yeah, and I'm just feeling you. And it's interesting because I had a this moment of quarantine has provided us this inner journey also within branding and exploring the inner workings of what our offerings are. And so Shrimu is an artisanal plant-based cheese company that is an impact business that is transforming the way we interact with animals and bringing more love and compassion into our lives and what we take into our bodies, as well the health of the physical body, which is our spiritual temple, and then also Mother Gaia. What's interesting in Shrimu is because I'm an artist, the brand is a beauty brand, and it's a beauty brand because the first foundation of spiritual awareness is beauty. And so what we're saying is life is beautiful, and Shrimu is presented in this beautiful packaging and branding with the highest attention to the execution or the presentation of this product. And so, Anne, I so resonate with you. I also was a fashion designer many years ago, and there is something that is very sacred about the way we present our environments, the way we adorn our body. This was all very primal and very core to our hearts. So beauty is very, very important, as is humor, and as is the enjoyment of this divine earthly experience. And so it's the lightness of being that I think is brought through these sensual experiences. And the one thing that I want to share is that I wanted to mention that no one is coming to save us. There is no one coming. We are the ones we've been waiting for. And if it's not us, then who is it going to be? And so this is a great inspiration for us to really connect with the truth of who we are, because each one of us was created in divinity. There's not another one of you in the entire omniverse. And so if you don't take the time to fully know yourself and then express that, then you will have never existed, because there's not another one of you that will show up. And so I find this sort of humorous in human culture, where there's all these intellectual discussions about people trying to find a consensus. Like, what is the right way? Well, there's no one way. There's just a billion different expressions of life, which is what so many of us have shared during this call today. And so this brings me to, I want to just recognize Damanhur, because I feel like after we have activated our own individual awareness, then we need to come into community to experience what Pamela was sharing about the fact that we need this connection, and it's this collective family that is our very existence. It's at the core of our existence. And one thing that Shrimu has decided to do is we are co-branding and sharing with Damanhur, because we're recognizing the Damanhurians as being masters of community, having a community that has existed over 45 years. And so we are working to preserve and support these divine temples that were created as really incubators of humanity. And so if anybody wants to give to the temples, you can go to damanhur.foundation, and you can support this beloved community that has paved this pathway over so many years. And it's, of course, Esperide, their emissary, who invited us all here to gather. And so I wanted to just let everybody know and invite everybody to support. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I was not expecting this, so thank you very much for bringing this in. And now, Emilia. Emilia, what would be your closing offering? What is that pearl of wisdom that you would like to share now?
It's amazing listening to all of you, and just inspiring. And what I'm seeing is like we human beings learn from each other. It has been always like this, directly to each other. And what I feel it's like when we put physical and monetary boundaries or barriers, we become prisoners. and prisoners of a system that has enslaved us genetically and monetarily, economically talking for millennia. So I think for now, we, again, like Lorena was saying, like time is a precious concept. Time is equal life. And everything we do is a one-way journey. There is no way back. So to use our time in a different conception is very important for all of us. So what I'm thinking and feeling right now, listen to all what everyone has bringing to us, is like we need to meet the silence again. It's too many words and too many thoughts, and it's a lot of beautiful things, but I think we should meet the silence again. And the silence is the place that all sounds come and goes back. And I think we should get into that place sometimes, a lot of times, create that culture. It's more than meditation. It's just be there and clean up all the files. Clean up. And from that silence, we can identify the peaceful being that we all are. And this peaceful being is a kind of a condition for us to manifest love that we're talking about and beauty. Because I think we are all learning what love is about. I think we don't know exactly, because if we knew, we were living like this. I think we have to be humbled to know that we are learning. And I believe that we cannot give love. We only have a way to be love. And in order to be love and doing things with love is the only way to be originally creative and to really give the best we have and we bring in inside of each other as a piece of this wonderful creation and to offer to each other through the time that we all received to face this extraordinary journey that life is. So I believe that is the moment that we can just meet that silence. Clean up. Delete a lot of files. Decide to not run more in the pirate app, but to start to relearn how to run into an original app. How we are going to relearn to be ourselves. So it's very grateful to be here now, listen to all the hearts and all the feeling that everyone here wishes for a new cycle of this world and to become worthy to be here and to do this experience of life. So I believe that the next generation needs from us to establish the conditions for them to bring what they have also inside. Not a lot of inputs, but to help them to output what is inside of them. And I think that is a wonderful that we can exchange our experiences and to co-create new experiences from the silence, from the 0 point, from the reset of the world. So that's what I'm looking for. And I believe that we can do it. That's why we are in this pause, stillness, but also so dynamic, because peace is not something that we are like stuck in somewhere and just stop. You know, peace for me is the most dynamic state of consciousness. And so that place that we can every moment and before every situation to find the best answer, our responsibility, our ability to respond, to have a response for each situation that life brings to us. And the different places in the world with the different material situations, you know, with different people, with different dreams. I think to start there, great way of doing it. So I would love to be in touch with all you and to do a connection from this point. Like how can we connect to each other from the 0 point and to co-create something that is really a real good answer for the situation that is before us. So thank you all. I'm doing this with the people, the young people too, because I think they need to learn how to use the time as a precious thing. So this, I really like this Lorena activity. So this life is everything we have. And it's the way that we can exchange. This is the way that we can exchange a life. So thank you all. And I believe that we can do a lot together and we can exchange a lot of new and good ideas. That's it.
Thank you, Emilia. Lots of profound points in what you are discussing and lots of wisdom. I would just like to tie something that you said to what Julie said. So Julie said, they're not coming, nobody's coming to help us, we are the ones. And you underlined the importance of responsibility. And that made me think, the two things together really made me think of Gandhi. When Gandhi was asked what he thought about the Declaration of Human Rights, he wrote a beautiful letter saying that his grandmother taught him that before talking about rights, we need to think about our duties. And I think this is very, very relevant for all of us now. So what it is our duty as we rise, as we awaken, there is more responsibility for each one of us to really hold hands with each other and help everybody else feel the power of community, feel the power of being together for this change. So thank you for this. And Holly, to you now, what would be your closing comments and pearls of wisdom that you would like to leave with all of us?
Thank you, Esperide. That was the perfect segue, actually, for me to speak about the very practical application of purpose in our lives. There is so much conversation right now about purpose, and primarily I see that because, as I described earlier, in this pandemic, we did get silent. We've become incredibly silent, and in that silence we've begun to go deep inside and to inquire, well, who am I, and what is my role here? What is my duty and responsibility to make this world different than it has been? And in that questioning, we begin to explore what is inside of us, what is ours to do in this lifetime, because our soul purpose brought us back here in this lifetime to accomplish a particular task or many expressions of that task. And so in this silence, we've begun to hear the voices, perhaps, or at least to inquire in a more profound and deep and authentic way than we've ever been able to do collectively as humanity. And what a gift this pandemic has been for us, right? To be able to collectively take a sigh and say, what is ours? What is it we came to do? And so in this process, there are some very practical things that we can do to uncover our purpose. I believe that when we show up in the world as human beings in the womb, that we somehow develop this amniotic amnesia and we forget what our soul brought us here to do. And the point of that is that we are intended to go through life having experiences in order to refine our gift, to polish the stone of our gem, our multifaceted gem that is our purpose. And each of these experiences is a learning opportunity for us to wake up and to grow up and to clean up whatever we brought to this lifetime in order to become more enlightened, awakened, potentiated beings, however you like to refer to it in your own life, that is a combination of our spirituality and our human manifestation, our material presence on the planet, and the gifts that we have to offer. So each of us as purposeful beings, there is no distinction between spirituality and community and creativity. I see them all as just expressions of the deep soulful essence that each of us are. So if you can think about very practical ways of looking back in your life, and what were those stages of life, and how were you inspired? What were you curious about? What lived in you that caused you to have a dynamic and energetic expression of life inside of you? What did you seek to learn more about? What were the curiosities that caused you to, either go to school or read a book or meet some people that intrigued you? What were those intriguing moments that caused joy and abundance and happiness in your lives? Those are facets of your purpose that can help you understand better who you are and what is your responsibility and your right in this lifetime, because purpose really is both a responsibility and a right to live as your most essential self. And the practical reason to live on purpose, other than, of course, I want to live as my most potentiated self and, awakened spiritual being. But the reality is, if you are not here living that in your daily world, as a relational being, as a contributory being, as a person who is bringing something into the world in material form, then we are all missing you. I am not experiencing and able to receive your gifts. So my suggestion in a very practical way is to find out what is that deepest expression of you and to create something. There's been a lot of talk about creating things today, whether with your hands or some other form of expression. So what does that look like? What is the greatest offer that you can bring to the world right now that will make this a better experience for all of us, because you are here in your most profound, magnificent genius form? Because when I don't get to experience you in your greatest form, there's something missing for me. I'm missing out when you're not here in your greatest form, and you're missing out when I'm not here in my greatest form. And we need each other. And that is the greatest expression, right, of community, that each of us is here to give and to receive our deepest, most profound gifts, so that we are in this constant reciprocal manifestation of living our divine essential purpose on the planet. So I'd love to suggest, if you are interested, I did just write a book launched in the middle of a pandemic about purpose called The Golden Thread: Where to Find Purpose in the Stages of Your Life. And I do offer exercises in the book that help you go back through the stages of your life and pull out these facets of you that may have been expressed in one form or another. And it's the most intimate and also simple way of learning about who you are and what your gift is on the planet. So I would wish that each and every one of us can live into the greatest form of expression that we came to live in this life. No matter where you are in your life, whether you're a child or adolescent or an elder, there's still plenty of time to live a most profound expression of you. Many blessings. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. And we are running a little bit over time, but Rama, please, so give us your closing words and comments, and then after you, we'll let Sabinije or Jim close the session. So I take this opportunity already, as we're running out of time, to thank you, everyone. It's been really, really a blessing and a great experience for me to be here. So Rama, and then we'll have Jim closing. Thank you.
Hello, I dropped out of the call for a moment, Esperide, but I can see I'm highlighted. So I imagine that I'm in the hotspot and how wonderful the technology should just blank out at that moment.
Sorry.
I'm again in a state of...
Sorry, Rama, because you didn't hear. So I just said that we're running a little bit over time. So I passed to you also the closing comments, and I will not be speaking after you. Only Jim will.
Oh,
so to you.
Okay, well, Esperide, okay, we would have just loved to have you hold us together in meditation. So I'm sure we can stretch time a little bit for that, because you've done this so very beautifully. You know, the two closing things I wanted to come to, which really came to me hearing everyone, was one about healing, which so many of you talked about. You know, how can we really use this time to heal? And there was a little poem that I'd written in this time of COVID about healing. And I just went on a healing journey. And literally the poem says, so busy were we forgot to heal. And I feel that's really important for every one of us in the Humanity Rising community and all the communities we belong to, because we are so passionate about what we are doing, about living our purposes, that we forget when half our bodies aren't with us because we've run ourselves down. So that's been my big gift. I ended my convalescence as the COVID started. And the second thing is that, you know, we've discovered so much of our humanity, our unity, our spirituality, our connectedness to each other across every culture, across every kind of difference that normally separates us, but also and especially with nature. That how can we now have the courage and give each other the courage to say, no, we are not going back to normal. We're not going back to that world that created the mess that we are in now. We are moving, we will keep moving forward, and we will support each other to not slip back, you know, to fall back into those old routines. So there was also a little poem I'd written to that effect. But for now, I think all I'll do is I'll share the very last piece of the healing piece I'd written, because that was written after speaking to Esperide and her sharing the beautiful theme of this session. You know, so it talks about it's the time, you know, so busy were we'd forgotten to heal ourselves, each other, and the earth. But now is the time for us to heal from the inside out. And it ends by saying, now is the time to constitute new communities of spirit, fueled with faith in our future, brimming with belief in ourselves, to open the borders of our boundless minds and create with inspired vision and willing hands a world that's a home for humanity in unity with all forms of life on earth. So just with those words that just echo what everyone on this call shared and what so many of our beautiful participants shared through the chat, I hand back over to you. Thank you.
So, Jim, perfect.
Yeah, I would welcome Sabinije. Why don't you make a few closing remarks, and then I'll announce the program for tomorrow.
Well, I just want to express, wow, I'm nearly of loss of words from, you know, it's nearly like a wisdom council that we've had with all you 9 amazing, transformational, radiant women who share your knowledge, your insights, your experiences, and so much love and profoundness that came out of this that I've also seen in the chat. I mean, so much gratitude and blessing. And I think to conclude, just a gentle reminder to always stay enchanted with life, with nature, with yourselves, with others, as we spoke of before. And that's a way to reconnect with yourself and align with yourself again. And I think it was Anna, someone mentioned, you know, have curiosity to ourselves and service to others. And then that sereneness of silence that is also so important to then be able to listen to all the sounds. And also remember the essence of beautifying the world and beautifying your surroundings around you. I mean, that is a narrative that I really, really hope will, take a quantum leap into this world, because beautifying is at the essence of it all. And stay close to laughter, joy, and love, a summary of what all of you said, and know that you're valuable, seen and heard, and that you're precious. And thank you so much for today. And I look forward to seeing you all join tomorrow. Thank you for all of you viewers who've joined us, men, women, and everyone. Thank you so much. Over to you, Jim.
Thank you. And Esperide, were you planning to do a closing meditation?
I would have liked to, just even a second, but I understand.
I'll do an announcement and then you do a closing meditation, because Sabinije is right. This has been an amazing circle of women's voices, and I just want to acknowledge each and every one of you and thank you. And I think we should seal it with Esperide in a moment, but I just want to say two things very, very quickly. Number one, on our Ubiverse, you're all registered on our platform. So you can go to the Humanity Rising group and add any comments. You can upload videos, you can have conversations. So, these 2-hour sessions that we're doing every day are just to kind of whet your appetite. And we hope that you'll continue the dialogue and the interaction on our platform. So think about that. And then secondly, just to say that tomorrow, we're going to have an extraordinary woman, Heather Ashe Amara, who was trained in the Toltec tradition of Central Mexico, whose specialty is firewalking. She's a very serious practitioner. And she does seminars on women as warrior and women as goddess. So she's convening another extraordinary panel. And so between 5 and 7 p.m. Central European time, please tune in again, and we'll continue Humanity Rising into our 4th day. So thank you all. And Esperide, I now turn it over to you for the close.
Thank you, Jim. So again, I just invite all of us to close our eyes. Very easily now, we can find the place in which we feel our presence, that deep, wise presence, the unique color that you are. And then expanding again. Imagine a bubble of light around you. And I will just repeat a few of the words that we shared in our conversation. So imagine this bubble as a sacred space of silence, where these words enter only to bring the gift of the frequency, and then they disappear. These words can exist only because of their silence. Beauty, love, connection, curiosity, believing, reciprocity, beauty, sharing, dreaming, opening a new time, healing, nature, trees, men, women, humanity, love, presence, now. And now please take a deep breath. Share the beauty and the gratitude you feel within you now in the larger field to which we're all connected. Us here and everybody else on this planet. Every being, every plant, every animal, every stone and crystal. And every element. Thank you, everyone, for this precious time we shared together. And before opening your eyes, as usual, please make sure you have a smile on your face.
Thank you, Esperide. Thank you, everyone. See you this time tomorrow. Wonderful session. Wonderful session.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.